Today I've been given exclusive access here at the headquarters of Biz Karts, one of the largest kart manufacturers in the world, to show you the entire process of how a go-kart is made. So let's head inside because it's the middle of December in England and it's bloody freezing. I'm now here with Max. Thank you so much for inviting us down today. And so we are here in London, but you can see here, you guys ship all across the world. How many karts do you guys actually manufacture here at the warehouse?
We aim to manufacture about 1,200 karts a year.
Karts.
Yes, it's quite impressive and definitely has its challenges of all sort of shipping them out and making sure everything's on time. But no, we try our hardest and I'd like to think we're doing a good job. Yeah,
and you guys aren't just making like just one type of kart as well. You guys got a whole different variety of single-seater and two-seater ones. So how many karts do you actually have?
I think we make about in the region of nearly 10 different sort of karts. We range from electric indoor karts, petrol outdoor karts, even off-road karts, which is quite fun.
So let's jump into the actual process of making these karts. Obviously you're making your plans of different configurations, you know, with petrol and electric and stuff. But you guys also do quite a lot of testing, which I didn't realise, not only with the steering wheel, where you got obviously a lot of the pressure is inside on the wheels, but also from the rears as well.
It's quite extensive, the sort of testing you need to see through various CAD softwares and simulations to see where the sort of weaker points of the chassis are and try and react to that. Redesigning the whole chassis or geometry sort of bits, or even put little gusset points as where you're sort of strengthening the points between two tubes. There's a load of things we can do. It all depends on the sort of area, but it'd be great to show you the whole process where we see the tubes brought into the factory, and then we'll show you where we can bend them and then ultimately weld them and jiggle them all together.
So effectively, it looks like we're here at the beginning of the process, you know, got all the steel tubing. So what's going on here then?
Essentially, we get all the tubing in long meters and we have to cut it down to size. So these have just been cut down, but from this process now, we need to start bending them to make a chassis. It's not a straight chassis, all got different dimensions and shapes. So you can sort of see from this piece here, this is set for a certain size tubing. The tubing goes in and then it's bent around sort of the radius with the machinery in place. Yeah, it's all done in-house. It's not light, is it?
I mean, you held it with one hand, I can't really give it to you. I'm so weak. So we're now here at the welding stage. We've got our lovely ear protectors in, so I can't really even hear what you're saying. We've got like this little jig going on, so this is all done by hand?
Yeah, so with every sort of kart we have an individual jig to make sure every kart is right and the same. So you can see it's been all clamped down now, and individual bits are being welded or about to be welded together.
How long does the process take of you know, getting all the bits together to then sort of finishing a weld, as it were?
We can weld a kart together for a frame in less than a day. We'd like to say 3 to 4 pushed out from nothing to a physical frame in one day.
There's so many different welding bays going on here as well, so is it sort of like one operator working on one thing at the whole time?
Yes, maybe we see some operators have a job where they do a certain few little bits and then it'll move on to another member of staff who would essentially weld his sort of bits together, and he's responsible for those parts on the chassis.
Yeah, you can see here there's like so many different like bits being screwed down, so you've got these little clamps here as well as also holding the rear axle here as well. All of the kart's chassis are all made from steel. Is that the one you just go
Yeah,
from?
so we make it from stainless steel just for strength and durability.
Of course.
But when you see normally a race chassis be aluminium for a bit more flexibility and lightness really, because a steel frame is an awful lot heavier than an aluminium frame. So the general sort of design of the chassis is very similar. Each sort of manufacturer has their own sort of take on it, but the basis of the way a kart chassis looks is very similar for every manufacturer.
So after the welding process is complete, do you go straight into painting and assembly?
Once it's all like into one kart like you're seeing a frame, we then put it back onto this flatbed here. It's very important for us to check the sort of heights, dimensions at certain points, because with all these sort of processes like welding, it doesn't always do it, but they could maybe warp pieces of the chassis which may have
the heat and such.
Due to the heat, exactly.
As you're doing it by hand, you're constantly checking it, so you know when all the karts you're going out, they're almost identical, whereas before you could have like different areas where you get a bit of warping and then the kart just goes straight off.
I mean, oh, absolutely, yeah. So some of the staff here really take pride in sort of how close it is, and so if you ever say to one of them one of the chassis off here, they'll take offence to it because they really spend a lot of time doing all this
they're
sort
all
of
their
stuff,
babies, aren't they?
Making sure, it's their projects, and they're very passionate about their work, which is great to see for us as well.
Of course. We are now at the beginning stages of what it looks like is the assembly area. Is this basically where everything comes in together, or is it just a little bit?
Yeah, they've now come into our sort of build process where we're now starting to add things like the steering, the pedal assemblies, and the brakes and axle. So this is now where it's starting to become a proper kart,
Yeah, totally.
rather than just a frame.
We've all sort of seen those Go Kart videos where you have a little bit of a tap and the whole steering axles come off. Whereas here you see people, I know, like Team Sport something, slam it into the walls and then they just move the kart back out on it. So I'm guessing these have to be much more like wear and tear ready. I
think you've got to look at the purpose differences, where when a company like Team Sport, they're not just buying one kart, they're buying 20 or how many they decide in that particular venue. The kart-wise, there should be no performance difference. When you're looking at companies like Tony Karts or OTK, it's really important they're producing the fastest chassis out there. So they're looking at things like lightweight, the flexibility. So if we flex these chassis up, they probably would go faster around a track. But how long would they last?
Totally.
And we wouldn't want to be supplying to a customer and let go down 6 months down the line and go, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to have to replace your fleet now because they're broken. We're supplying a kart which will last them 3-4 years, in some cases even longer.
Predominantly a lot of the tracks you guys are making karts for, they're all indoor ones, so you won't be necessarily pushing to need to get to like 100 miles an hour, but these still do pack quite a punch.
Absolutely. I think a lot of that is helped by our wraparound. So something you wouldn't see in a race car is they actually have protection all around the wheels. So essentially, you'd like to hope you would never have any direct contact hit the wheel. It will be taken in by the side wrap and dampened through that sort of thing. Where a race car, if there's normally a crash thing, it'll be directly hitting the wheel or the axle where it would bend. I'm sure if you looked at a rental car 15, 20 years ago to where we are now, in general, it's changed a lot.
So this is where the engine and batteries are sort of all installed?
Yeah, so we're seeing this is an electric car here where the batteries are put on both sides of the car and the electric motor is put there. So this is now where we're sort of seeing the likes of the plastic wraparound put on the car, the plastic floor on this car, and all the other little bits fitted, so you'll also see like the seats fitted in here. And this particular kart, we've got a plastic floor, so it covers the likes of the track rods, the master cylinder for the brake and stuff, so it avoids the customer ever having to stand on them and potentially damaging them. We're seeing all these wiring looms which come from the sort of charger, the battery management system, and go obviously to the motor and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of sort of things going on now.
So you're talking about testing and such, and what's this? Because it looks like just like a massive oven.
So essentially what this is doing is testing one of our battery packs in different temperatures. So we run a sort of a program where it's running an actual kart track.
Oh, so all a little bit like a racing?
Yeah, exactly, but it's doing it on the battery without anything moving. So it's putting the sort of strains and stresses through a battery, replicating what it would be like on a kart track, but through various temperatures. Because it's quite amazing with these batteries, they do actually have different performance levels or losses of energy with different temperatures.
Naturally, all batteries have a lifespan. Yeah. You can obviously recharge it, but there will be a sort of a cut-off point where it's like it can't run no more. Yeah. So roughly, how long do these sort of batteries go for? Depending
on how the customer maintains it, that's a really important thing which you don't always see. So if the customer really looks after them and charges them the way we recommend, we've seen batteries go on to 3,000 hours. Wow. If they're maintained well, they can last a long time.
It's a little bit like, I guess, like an iPhone, where when you first get it, it'll charge to like 100% straight away. After a year or so, it'll get to like maybe around 80 and then start to see the battery not working to its fullest extent. I'm assuming the same with this.
Exactly the same sort of thing. It's a lithium battery, and that's really important. We've always used a lithium solution. It's key to the future of car batteries.
The kart's basically now built. Now we just got to brand it. So this looks like the last section of like the process.
Yeah. So this is where you normally see the big differences between each sort of company buying a car. Where you see some companies asking for blue graphics, some asking for green, just a thin piece of sticky plastic like you'd have on your normal sticker, a bit beefed up for a bit more hard-wearing purposes, and then we have it laminated.
Yes.
We have sort of two processes. We can either do like a gloss laminate or like a matte laminate. So this one's a matte.
Matte's always the best way to go.
Absolutely, I would agree. But that's the sort of differences you would see.
Of course. So some of you guys might have noticed at the back here, we've also got some 3D printers as well. So is this part of your testing process?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go into the really expensive process of getting things machined or using materials where we don't necessarily want to waste, it's cheaper to do it on this, see if it works, and if it doesn't, we'll redesign it, print it again until it gets perfect. Yeah,
because I can assume you sort of make a design for like electrical housing, for example. You then don't want to spend loads on it for it to suddenly break. So I guess here you can sort of try and test it and fully develop it and literally take it downstairs to see if it fits and works.
Exactly, yeah, but there's so many things which go into making a kart these days. It's great for us to quickly look at what's wrong and maybe redesign it and change it until it's perfect.
So the sticker's now all applied and such. you got to complete a cart.
It's finished cart, it's ready to go to the customer now.
Gosh, so what is the process of shipping then? I mean, if you've got like, say, a fleet of 30 and it's going over to the States, what's the process of getting all of these carts across the seas?
If they're going to like to America, we would put the carts on a specific cart pallet, we call it, where essentially 2 carts are stood on the rears, put on one pallet, and we put them in a container and they're shipped across the Atlantic.
Big thanks to the folk down here at Biz Karts for inviting us along, and if you want to learn more about the history of go-karting, you can do so by clicking up here. And if you enjoyed the video, why not consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.